Just something about this scene of seeing Kana in the background kind of emphasizing like the hour of twilight, and then like as the scene progresses you see Ruby staring at her, her back is turned, like Kana's back is turned to Ruby's, and just like everything about this scene is legitimately like it's beautiful in so many different ways, because even if you don't understand maybe the symbolic nature of what this scene is trying to convey, I think what's truly powerful about this is just seeing that this is a turning point in Kana's life and Ruby's life, and just seeing the effect that Ruby is having on the people around her, like for instance Kana, and also Aqua could be, the same way. For instance, how Aqua has encouraged Kana down a path that is obviously different than she once had. It's very beautiful, and this entire scene kind of leads up towards the end, where you see like Kana turn around and she's like, it's time for me to be like the rookie idol, Kana. And I think that's what makes this scene powerful, is because she's no longer saying like she's a child actor. She's not like, oh, the child actor, Kana, or the used to be child actor. She says she's a rookie idol. And I think what this kind of shows is that she has the determination to be someone else, that she is now going down a different path. She will no longer, kind of be chasing the coattails of like her past self, like child actor. She will now just be an idol. And even if this turns out to be a bad or a good thing, whatever direction may be, it is a new direction for her as a person. And I think that entirely what this scene represents is death of an individual. And let's get into that. Twilight. That is the symbolic nature of what this represents. And to kind of dive deep into this, if you look at just the backdrop, it's very clear what the animators and the people that worked on the scene really wanted you to feel, is that you had the night sky with the stars. And when we think of the stars, we look at the vast greatness of space. We think of just how overwhelmingly huge space is when you see stars and all that. You also think of freedom and maybe just different lights. So many shining stars within the sky. And then, when you look at the bottom of this image, you see the sun that either is setting or going up. Whatever may be happening, the sun is somehow having a contrast with the bright sky with the stars. And it's the hour of twilight, to where it's like in between life and death, dark and light. And in this case, this moment for Kana was significant. That was saying that her used-to-be child actor is dying here, that used to be herself is gone, and that she will become a new individual, a new path, and will not kind of be self-depreciating as much as she is normally in these recent episodes. She wants to be better. She wants to have courage and the will to be able to be successful within, her career as an idol, and whatever, direction the story may take her. She wants to be something new. And so in this case, even though it is the death of child actor Kana, it is a new beginning for idol Kana. So yeah, I love the symbolic theme of this scene. It's just like the end of something, but also could be represented as something brand new. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the entire training segment. I really do love the sequence where like they're running and they're going training and stuff, because I think what makes this very important, like this entire sequence, besides obviously, Peon actually, or a fake Peon being Aqua, and then, Kana finding out about this, is that there is a scene where like they're running here, like they're just, they're doing their workouts and all that, and there is a brief little scene, which I have posted on my Twitter, it'll be easier to show you, where they actually have like weeds here, or a flower, technically. And I think that the way this scene was conveyed with their training was basically saying that despite the hardships, despite how difficult life may be, the paved road is, keep pressing forward, never give up, and on top of that, life will find a way. And once again, this goes very well with the whole Twilight message I just talked about, is that when you think about just what this scene represents, it's easily, lost. Like, you don't really need to recognize this or know this, because it's not that important in the grand scheme of things, but it's definitely a little detail that was thrown in to add a little bit more for those that want to dive in deep to oshinoko. And that is the fact that this weed here, which I know looks like a flower, but it is a weed, is growing in the middle of the pavement. So there's a crack in the road, and it's growing. And in a way, when you think of a crack in the road, it could be an inconvenience. It could be something that could be annoying to those trying to to pass by, because the weed is annoying you. It could cause bumps or something on the road. But in this case, the way this, entire message is kind of representing is two different things. Either it's representing there's always going to be bumps and cracks on the road, and you still need to be able to push forward and keep moving on with your life, which once again goes very well with the Twilight message at the beginning of this video I made. But also it can represent, since we can see three different weeds here, the three different weeds can represent Kana, can represent Mincho, and it can represent Ruby. All three of these. And if you look very closely of the way this looks, we could assume the right one here is Kana, the one in the middle is Ruby, and the one on the left is Mincho. Or maybe this is, actually Aqua, this is Kana, and this is Ruby. We don't really know. The point is that we could assume that, with any weed, usually they're a pest, and people try to tear them out and all that, but they somehow find a way to survive and live. And that's kind of what Kana's story has always been about, at least from her introduction. We have seen that her very story is always about hardship. She's trying to struggle to be better and all that. And we get a little bit of a insight into Kana's life, that she was someone that doesn't have anyone. She doesn't have anyone that she can rely on, someone that can inspire her, so to speak, within her, friend group or family group. And the only people that she currently has right now is obviously Ruby, Mincho, and Aqua. And it really shows with this episode. But it's heavily implied that her very relationship with her parents is very strained. Her family is very strained. She doesn't really have anyone she can rely on in, blood related, which is legitimately sad. And it's clear that because of just her child acting, she was used potentially by her family, with the brief little details we got within this episode, and she's just always felt very isolated. They only cared about the fame and the money, and since that overall dried up, since, she doesn't make as much money as she used to, they no longer really care to interact with her anymore. So there's a lot really going on here, a lot of deeper themes just showcasing that because of her losing popularity within the industry, she is someone that obviously her relationship with her family has become almost non-existent. And this is another side of the industry that is never really talked about, is that, yeah, we know about how people's reactions are, friends to maybe just people out in the public that used to be fans, but also we got to think about what the family probably thinks. Are they, supportive or not supportive? And in this case, it's very clear that Kana hasn't had any support whatsoever, which makes a lot of sense why the first time she receives any compliments and all that, and she gets encouragement, especially from Aqua within this episode, why she would get so excited, why she would get so happy, and she would be determined to do this, because she has two individuals like Mincho and also Ruby that is heavily relying on her, and they believe in her, and she realizes this, which you get to see the stress at the end of this episode with just, how, Kana gets very stressed, she's upset and all that. I think that legitimately, this is a fantastic episode to really just dive into Kana as a character, getting to kind of see who she is and what makes her strive to still be here. And I like just kind of seeing the overall panic attack and stress of her in this episode, showcasing that, if she was by herself, she would be able to deal with everything just fine, like for instance, being the lead center of trying to sing. But since she has two individuals like, Ruby and Mincho that believe in her, and they're new to all this, if Kana fails, she'll feel completely responsible. That she brought both of them down, their career will be basically done. And she doesn't want to feel that pressure. There is so much pressure on her, because if she doesn't do this right, everyone collapses in. And I guess this is also a good way to really dive into her character. It's clear that Kana has always been someone that puts the weight of others over herself. We could just see her very struggle, when we're getting a little bit of her backstory and all that, and how she's trying to sell things and stuff, and what we saw from the, Sweet Today, that little show she was in, earlier on in the season, that she always is considerate of, those around her, the other actors, to, the director, to just the people that are working on the show, the production team. She's very considerate of them, and she always places their well-being, what they need, their needs over her own needs, and she never is someone that's really outspoken and trying to express herself as much as she should. And in this own way, her being very, nasty or toxic to a certain degree with some of her words is a way for her to vent, because she realizes what she's doing. She's putting everybody above herself, and she's never, able to actually focus and be selfish for once. So I think that is pretty interesting, kind of seeing that little trait of her character. It's kind of like she's forcing herself to be a background character over anything else. She's like, I won't even be the main character because I want everybody else to shine brighter than me, so to speak. It's pretty beautiful, honestly, in terms of writing. It's sad, but it is really nice writing, getting to see a little bit of her character. So seeing her kind of step into the spotlight and being the center is huge for her character. It's basically saying, yes, you're the shining star right now. We need you because you're the one that's going to be able to carry us with your singing, and that this is a really big deal for her because she needs to be able to take the spotlight, suck it all up for herself, because that's what the center has to be within, an idol group. So I think that this will be very good for her as a person and grow, and that's why, once again, this Twilight message is very important, that the previous Kana is dying and a new one is slowly being reborn from the ashes. So yeah, fantastic episode, honestly. I do love a lot of the visuals throughout this episode. I think everybody can agree with that. They did a really good job, as always. It's really sad that next week is going to be the finale. I mean, let's be honest here. There's going to be a season 2. It's just, the series has been too popular. It's done too well. So, it's only a matter of time until we get a season 2. But will we get a season 2 announcement at the end of season 1 next week? Don't know. But, yeah, overall, just fantastic episode of Oshinoko. I'm going to leave it at that, though. Thank you so much, everyone, that watched this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's just truly been a magical journey, and it looks like we're going to be leaving off the series with quite the banger next week, because it's obviously going to be their live performance. I'm excited to see how that's going to go in anime form. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.